Professor Bo breaks out of prison. Assuming this was part of his plan, he he broke out of prison after seeing the pictures of that John man, R.I.P. by the way, F's in chat, being eaten by the big monster. And hold up though. Where did the monster come from? Jem the Fisherman, he later states that he, oh god, that's a lamp. Later on, he states that he turned all the fish he could find into giant man-eating sea monsters. How did he do that? Did he use the same ray gun that Professor Joe used in issue 3 to make those potatoes sentient and evil somehow? Do these kinds of guns just sort of exist in this universe? Can you just buy them at like Target? And he says he says he turned all the fish he could find into sea monsters. Considering his whole motivation is the fact that he can't find any fish because the rich snobs, whatever that means, have fished all the fish, and that is the right word for that. And either he's exaggerating this claim that they've fished all the fish because of his fragile ego, or these rich snobs are a plague on the environment. What, they fish all the fish? What do? They poison the lake? We have to assume that he stole the fish of the rich snobs. Like those. How do he steal the fish though? Do we know that? No. It's fine. But the fish are dead though. They're dead as well. So when he presumably with a Professor Joe style ray gun turned these fish into giant man-eating sea monsters, was he also bringing them back to life? Are these zombie man-eating sea monsters? Are these zombie man-eating sea monsters? That's horrifying. Also, if the whole reason he was pissed off was because he couldn't fish any fish, I guess it's catch. I guess it's catch, right? And he'd already somehow gone to the lengths of stealing fish from the rich snobs, then hear me out. Hear me out. Why not just keep the fish? Eat the fish. You have the fish, eat the fish. Eat the rich. You have the fish, eat the fish. I'm going insane. Is he just that petty? He's so petty. He's so petty. This is genuinely the worst villain ever. You better not get another issue, dude. I'm serious. Are you kidding me? Professor Bo's plan. Okay, so Professor Bo's in jail. He sees pictures of John being eaten by a sea monster. He, as well as everybody else, assumes from the pictures that it's a sea monster, even though the pictures provided, it doesn't look much bigger than a really big shark. But it's fine. Sea monster. Okay, he sees his pictures and he thinks, oh yeah, I could use this to my advantage. I could break out of jail, which I've been planning for months. Anyway, yeah. Sure, I could break out of jail and I could kidnap Cheesy Chum. And that'll be easy, because he barely wears his fucking superhero outfit. Even when there's literally aliens there, he's not wearing a super outfit. So that'll be easy. So kidnap Cheesy Chum, I'll log him up, I'll clone him, and then I'll send the clone to the beach. And he'll maybe be eaten by that sea monster. And then, which is definitely a sea monster. And then everyone will think that he's dead, when really, he'll be locked up in my, lab. In my lab? Couldn't think of any other location. And the police won't be looking there, because why would they? I'm barely sure they exist in this universe. Yeah, and then I don't know, me and Cheesy Chum will, play Yahtzee, or some shit. I don't know. This plan, I should point out, all has to take place in like a day. He sees John getting eaten by the sea monster, and then Cheesy Chum's clone goes to the beach the day after that. So between John getting eaten and Cheesy Chum's clone getting eaten, Professor Bo both broke out of jail somehow, and somehow also kidnapped Cheesy Chum and cloned him as well. Because I really shouldn't get into that, but the cloning machine is still there in his lab. The police didn't confiscate it, or we're not gonna go there. Because even if you want to be like, well, obviously it's like some other location. Why would he go back to the same lab? Then how did Mr. Mister find him? How did Mr. Mister find him? After he cloned him, he sent the clone to the beach. He sent him there. What does that mean? Mr. Mister says that he sent them there. And Professor Bo doesn't deny that. Cheesy Chum decided to go to the beach independently. He's at home. He sees the sea monster on the news. He decides to go investigate. The only way Professor Bo could have manufactured that is if he was behind the sea monsters in the first place. But Jem the Fisherman confirms that this was not the case later on. Spoilers. And that Professor Bo somehow ruined his plan. So how did Professor Bo send Cheesy Chum's clone to the beach? Was Cheesy Chum on his way to the beach when Professor Bo kidnapped him and cloned him, and then he dropped the clone off at the beach, and the clone of Cheesy Chum just assumed he'd like fainted or something and just went on about his day investigating? I guess there's maybe some logic there, unless what if Professor Bo did actually manufacture Cheesy Chum's reason for going to the beach to be eaten? Because before all this, he cloned Jem the Fisherman. What if the original Jem the Fisherman is just some normal fisherman, and then Professor Bo came along one day, cloned the guy, and the original Jem the Fisherman died or is locked in Professor Bo's cellar or some shit, I don't know. But the clone knows he's a clone. He knows he's not the real thing, right? And that's what makes him so insanely petty, because he knows he's a clone. And his wife hates him because he's a clone. But then why would Professor Bo have gone to such extreme lengths just to fake the death of Cheesy Chum? Why would he do that? Unless maybe he's like the Joker. Maybe he just wants to create chaos, so he cloned everyone. Maybe he cloned, oh god, maybe he cloned Mr. Mister, and that's why in the past few issues he suddenly dropped his dislike of Cheesy Chum for no apparent reason. Maybe the reason Miss Miss doesn't appear on this issue is because this version of Mr. Mister never met Miss Miss. And maybe the reason the characters have had so little characterization so far is to keep the readers guard down, so they don't work out too soon that this Mr. Mister is not the Mr. Mister we saw in issue 1, and this Cheesy Chum is not the Cheesy Chum we saw in issue 1. I mean, we already basically know that, considering the Cheesy Chum in issue 1's only defining trait is that he likes cheese, and he talks in third person. God, maybe there was something to this all along. Like, maybe it's just been so long since I read all these that I've been fooled into believing they're just as lazily written as they appear on the surface, when in actuality, there's something deeper here. And these clones have been an underlying thread throughout these issues that will finally culminate in a mind-blowing revelation that I've just somehow forgot about. Like, I guess we're here. I guess we're finally here. We've reached that revelation. Mr. Mister is confronting Professor Bo, and the fact that he's just really hanging out in his signposted lab means he absolutely must want to be confronted. He must want to be confronted. He wants to finally reveal his 6-issue-long master plan. God, I know I wrote these, but I'm excited. I'm excited to turn the page and really find out he's dead. He dies. He says nothing about the plan. He says, I gotta go, and then he says, uh-oh, and then he says, well, and then Jem the Fisherman appears and kills him. And he kills him with another goddamn ray gun. It was all just garbage. It was all just garbage. I wasted my time. It was all just garbage, and it made no sense. I need a minute. I know that was a bet, but I need a minute. I'm still genuinely disappointed a little bit. Why did you do it? Asked Mr. Mister. Well, and then labelled, just in case you'd already forgotten what Jem the Fisherman looked like. And I guess in this video you probably had forgotten, because I've been talking for so damn long. No one's watching this by this point. There's Jem the Fisherman, and he kills him. And then I'm not even gonna get into this because I'm exhausted. But Jem the Fisherman says, try to ruin my plan, would you? And Mr. Mister's like, talking about, you dumbass? Also, where? Sorry. That's the first thing I've laughed at something I wrote. Script. I don't even know why that's funny. I don't even know what the context of that is. This is so bad. Why do I do these videos? I'm literally like, I'm not looking at the issue at all anymore. I'm reading the script. I'm barely thinking about what I'm saying when I read the script anymore. So when I just read the line, what the fuck are you doing, you dumbass? I had no idea what the context of that was. Oh my god. He was talking to Jim. Because Mr. Mister has no idea what Jim the Fisherman was talking about. Uh, really all this stuff that Mr. Mister would say to Jim the Fisherman in this moment. But now it's ruined because I laughed halfway through. Mr. Mister's like, what the fuck are you talking about, you dumbass? Also, where's your wife? Didn't you have a wife at the start of this issue? What the hell does she have to say about all this? Did she exist purely so we know that... I'm scrolling down, I'm sorry, man. Did she exist purely so we know that Jim the Fisherman likes to fish a lot? I feel like there's other ways of showing that without just giving him a wife for no reason. God damn. Such strong female characters in these comics. God damn. All he did was fix someone's death. Also, there's the next page. Oh boy. Sheesh. All he did was fake someone's death. There we are. That's what I'm looking for. That doesn't affect you in any way, does it? And Jim says, oh boy. And Jim the Fisherman says, of course it does, you idiot. If he hadn't cloned Cheesy Chum and got all the attention after he'd escaped from jail, none of this would have ever happened. I don't know what that face means. Is he just meant to be like, huh? Huh? Also, wait, no. Mr. Mister doesn't even know who Jim the Fisherman is. No one knows who Jim the Fisherman is. Cheesy Chum doesn't even know. No one knows who Jim the Fisherman is. The first thing, this is extra. This isn't even in the 4,500 word long script I wrote for this issue. This isn't even in it, so I'm gonna skip right past it. I'm going to skip right past it because there's nothing here. How did he know that Professor Bo cloned Cheesy Chum? How did he even know who Professor Bo was? We're then told 2 seconds later, he's in handcuffs. 2 seconds later. Are those police handcuffs? How'd the police get there so fast? Where are the police? Could I not draw one policeman there? How does his wife get there so fast? Wait, why is his wife even there? If Mr. Mister called the police, we can assume they came to arrest him, which they appear to have done. But why would they not immediately take him to jail? Why would there be enough time for his wife to come to Professor Bo's lab? How did she even... There's not... I shouldn't. But how did she even know that... How did she even find out he was at Professor Bo's lab? I guess it's unfair of me to ask that question, considering we don't even know how Jim the Fisherman knew to come to Professor Bo's lab. Or Mr. Mister. That begs another question, actually. I'm sorry, but it does. What was Jim the Fisherman doing the whole time while his sea monsters were out eating people? Was he just sitting at home, like, cackling? Was his wife like, why'd you keep cackling every time I leave the room? And he'd be like, oh, that's nothing, hon. Also, he didn't get revenge on the rich snobs, right? Was he just trying... What did he say at the start? In fact, I'll show everyone. Okay, so yeah, he was just a maniac trying to kill people, just anyone. Okay, what a horrible villain. I truly hope we never get another issue of him. Oh my god, I already forgot about that. What's so baffling about the resolution to this issue's conflict is that it's not a resolution to this issue's conflict. The issue's conflict, God knows how many... The issue's conflict, which was God knows how many man-eating sea monsters, they're still out there swimming around eating people, right? Because Cheesy Chum, after John was killed, the day after that, Cheesy Chum just walked up to the beach to investigate. The police weren't there. The beach wasn't cordoned off. I wasn't going to mention that, but it came up naturally. Okay, the beach should have been cordoned off because someone died. Someone was eaten by a sea monster. If we're assuming Mr. Mister called the police prior to arriving at Professor Bow's lab, and that's how they got there so fast, because he was so sure that Professor Bow would be there, and he was right about it, that begs another question. Why did Jim the Fisherman give up so quickly? Didn't he have a ray gun, or whatever that was? Isn't he a maniac who kills innocent people and doesn't care? Is he just so lame that he couldn't be bothered trying to run? Horrible villain. I really hope we never get another issue with... I'm just kidding, I'm not doing that again. Cheesy Chum, to top off this wonderful issue, he bursts from the cell in which Professor Bow locked him for reasons we'll most likely never be privy to. And Mr. Mister fills him in, and then Cheesy Chum turns to the camera and says, well, I guess this is the bit where I say Finn, and that's the end of another issue, but I'm too shocked at what Mr. Mister just told me. See ya. Can I add another O in there? I just really want to add another O. No, that's a pen. That's a pen. We should preserve it. We should preserve it. Finn. Oh my god, the one time you don't say Finn at the end of an issue is the time when it could have been a nice little pun. You could have said, like, Finn, and then add another speech bubble below it, saying, get it? How did you not think of that? How did that slip by you? And by the way, if you're wondering, I used a giant fishing net to capture all the sea monsters and sell them to the zoo. See you for real this time.